So let's start, I guess. So आपको थोड़ा सा मैंने किताब के बारे में अभी बता रही थी back on Instagram. So I would actually like to start not with a letter but with my grandmother's prologue. पूरा नहीं, उसका जो शुरू का हिस्सा है वो मैं आपको सुनाना चाहूँगी to set up the letters a little bit, and also because I think there's an interesting angle to that part of my grandmother's life. Let me get to it. So ये जो पहला हिस्सा है इसमें उन्होंने लिखा है उस रात के बारे में जिस रात मेरे नाना को पुलिस अरेस्ट करने आई. So I'll just read that part out because it sets up a scenario, the scenario of how it happened, how she experienced it. Faiz and 3 others, including one woman, were arrested in the early hours of the morning of March 9th, 1951. And then began one of the most extraordinary episodes in the history of Pakistan. Extraordinary and disgraceful. We were awakened by shouts and the sound of running feet in the early hours of the morning. Our apartment was on the first floor. Downstairs in the front garden of the lower apartment, we discerned what appeared to be dozens of armed police. We were asked to open the doors. A raid. An election campaign was going on. Armed policemen tramped up the stairs and police officers surrounded us. What was it all about? There was no answer. No warrants. You have to come with us. Clothes? A shake of the head. A bedding, perhaps. I packed a bedding. The girls were asleep. Faiz went into their room to kiss them. The tramp of feet followed him. He bent down. The policeman on his heels bent down too. He kissed the girls. He was closely watched. As he left, he took another look at them through the window and smiled at me. Policemen took him by the arms. How could I have known that several years would pass before we should meet in that room again? And that 3 months would pass before we had any news of him whatsoever. I think again when I reread this now, all these things, especially the part where she says that for 3 months they did not know where he was, and that's true because he was being shunted from here and there, here to there, and he was in solitary confinement as well. जो correspondence है, पहला ख़त जो है वो जुलाई में लिखा है, and this was early March. And why I wanted to start with this, and anybody who popped in earlier in the test run would know now, ये 1951 की बात है और इसके ठीक 30 साल बाद ज़ियाउल हक के दौर में इसी तरह रात के बीच में मेरे घर भी पुलिस आई और मेरे अब्बा को अरेस्ट करके ले गए. Slightly different circumstances. Again, they were political prisoners. A lot of people were rounded up. Very well-known people. Jalib Sahab the, Raza Kazim Sahab the, Muhammad Ali Sahab the, the actor. They were all bunged in prison together. Anyway, so just quickly go over the story again. हुआ इस तरह से था कि, as I was saying, and I will quickly read out that prologue again. just in case, because it is important to understand, the context of the rest of the letters, etc. Thank you, Naima. So again, this is the beginning of the book. Before we get on to the letters, there is the prologue, in which my grandmother is talking about the night that my grandfather was arrested. Faiz and 3 others, including 1 woman, were arrested in the early hours of the morning of March 9th. And then began one of the most extraordinary episodes in the history of Pakistan. Extraordinary and disgraceful. We were awakened by shouts and the sound of running feet in the early hours of the morning. Our apartment was on the 1st floor. Downstairs in the front garden of the lower apartment, we discerned what appeared to be dozens of armed police. We were asked to open the doors. A raid. An election campaign was going on. Armed policemen tramped up the stairs and police officers surrounded us. What was it all about? There was no answer. No warrants. You have to come with us. Clothes? A shake of the head. A bedding, perhaps? I packed a bedding. The girls were asleep. Faiz went into their room to kiss them. The tramp of feet followed him. He bent down. The policeman on his heels bent down too. He kissed the girls. He was closely watched. As he left, he took another look at them through the window and smiled at me. Policemen took him by the arms. How could I have known that several years would pass before we should meet whatsoever? So as I was trying to say earlier, and I'm more in control now also. These last lines about not knowing his whereabouts for 3 months. I don't know if it's possible for any one of us to imagine what that would have been like if we haven't gone through something like that ourselves. And it's true because जो पहले 3 महीने थे, he was being shunted from here to there. He was in solitary confinement for a long time. जो correspondence है किताब की, वो शुरू होती ख़त की वो शुरू होती है जुलाई से. That's the first letter. The date of the first letter is in July. And why I wanted to start with this, because again, as I was saying, the weirdness of, the cycles of life. My grandfather was arrested and imprisoned in 1951. And almost exactly 30 years after that, इसी तरह रात के बीच में हमारे घर पुलिस आई. ये ज़ियाउल हक का दौर था. There were a lot of people who were being rounded up, and very well-known people. No charges. सिर्फ बस उठा के लेके जा रहे थे. रज़ा काजिम साहब थे, हबीब जालिब साहब थे, मोहम्मद अली साहब थे. They were all bunged in. So as always, रात के अंधेरे में आए. सुबह के कोई 1 या 2 बजे होंगे. And my father was asleep. मेरे चचा जो थे वो जाग रहे थे. तो दरवाज़ा उन्होंने खोला और उनको कहा गया कि भाई पेश किया जाए. So मेरे चचा ने आके मेरे अब्बू को ज़रा उठाया और कहा कि भाई पप्पी हाशमी पुल्स. एक तो मेरे अब्बा नींद में, और ऊपर से my father being my father basically said, उन्होंने आके सवेरे आन कि सुबह सुबह आए. So my chacha was like, I don't think I can tell the police that. So मेरी अम्मी जो बताती हैं कि उनकी बहुत धुंधली यादें हैं. She was very young. She was about, I think, 8 years or 9 years old. And so she has these very vague memories of Mama waking her up and telling her ke Sabbu, because he's going. And I have these very, very muddy memories of that night as well, when my father was taken. My mother didn't wake me up, लेकिन हम एक ही कमरे में सोते थे. So, and I'm a very light sleeper. So I sort of looked up and I saw movement. I saw that they were walking around the room. There was some commotion, and then I fell back asleep. So just, strange, as I said, the cycles of life. But anyway, I'll get on to the letters now without further ado. And yes, I am also impressed with myself because I'm holding my phone in my hand. I can't put it down because there's a charger on. But what one must do. So जैसा कि मैंने आपको बताया कि ये कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंस जो है ये जुलाई में शुरू होती है. And firstly, I want to just read one small bit from the first letter. Just one small part of the first letter. Things which meant so much now mean so little. The other night, Mizu, that's my khala, my mother's younger sister, who was about, I think, 5 at the time. The other night, Mizu left with toothbrush and nightgown for Server's place. Server was her sister-in-law. When she returned the next day, we asked her, क्या तुम उदास रही अम्मी जान के लिए? She replied, नहीं तो, मैं सिर्फ अब्बू जान के लिए उदास हूँ. And I always find this very, very touching because what happens to those families who are left behind? Little children. And जो आपको मैं पहले बता रही थी कि जो पब्लिश हुए मेरे नाना के लेटर्स मेरी नानी को रीपब्लिश जो हुए हैं बहुत ही खूबसूरत किताब में, उसमें मेरी खाला ने जेल में नाना को कुछ ड्राइंग्स करके भेजी थी. वो भी उसमें उनकी रिप्रोडक्शंस हैं विच आर जस्ट सो ब्यूटिफुल एंड सो स्वीट एंड इनोसेंट. देयर इज़ इवन अ ड्राइंग, आई थिंक शायद जो सॉल्ट आर्ट्स का पेज है उस पर एक हिस्सा मैंने भेजा था, of it's a drawing of Montgomery jail where he was, and that's a drawing by my 5 years old. I'll go on to the next letter. कहीं कहीं पे कुछ लोगों का जिक्र है जो कि मैं आपको कोशिश करती हूँ कि साथ साथ या पहले बताती जाऊँ कि वो कौन हैं. There's some very important people, important not in the way that we call people important in this country often, but in other ways. ये जो अगला ख़त है इसमें एक ज़िक्र है पहले बाली. बाली जो हैं वो इकबाल मेरे नाना की छोटी बहन थी. And I would like to tell you a little bit about her because she was a very important person, not only in my grandparents' life but also in our lives, the children, the grandchildren. She was so fiercely loyal. उनकी और मामा मेरी नानी की बहुत गहरी दोस्ती थी. फुल ऑफ अफेक्शन, फुल ऑफ लव. जुगतें भी एक दूसरे को बहुत लगाती थी, मेरे सामने भी. एंड आंटी बाली उनको हम कहते थे. एंड शी वॉज अ मैथमेटिकल विजर्ड, और रादर फैंटास्टिक एट टीचिंग मैथ्स. वो स्कूल में पढ़ाती थी और वो मशहूर थी इसलिए कि जो सबसे निकम्मा होता है ना, हर निकम्मा शख्स जो मैथ्स जिसको नहीं आती वो उसको भी सिखा देती थी. और उन्हें सारे बच्चों को, निकम्मों को, मैथ्स सिखाई सिवाय एक. यस, इवन आंटी बाली कुड नॉट ब्रेक मी. पास करा दिया उन्होंने मुझे, लेकिन मैथ्स आज तक मुझे नहीं आई. सो शी पास्ड अवे इन आई थिंक 2002, नॉट दैट लॉन्ग बिफोर मामा पास्ड अवे. दूसरा जिक्र है क्रिस. शी वॉज माई ग्रैंड मदर्स ओल्डर सिस्टर जिनकी डॉक्टर MD तासीर से शादी हुई थी. शी वॉज द फर्स्ट वन हु एक्चुअली केम हियर, एंड माई ग्रैंड मदर केम टू विजिट हर, एंड things happened. So as I was saying, she had been widowed the year prior, so 1950. She had 3 young children, and she was of course a great anchor in my grandmother's life. So let me read out the letter. I do all the spoiling I can of your daughters. I cannot bear to see them suffer for a moment. So far, they haven't gone short of much, but how we manage, only Bali and I know. We juggle behind the scenes with our pies. That rag Khatoon has started mudslinging at Chris, the sister of a communist. I suddenly realized they meant me. You know, this sounds funny, and it kind of is. I mean, the rags have always existed. They always will. लेकिन अब मेरी अम्मी भी मुझे बताती हैं कि ये वो ज़माना था जब जिस वक्त नाना को जेल हुई. The way she put it to me is, it's as if we caught the plague, because so many people stopped coming round, stopped meeting us, pretended they didn't know us. So there were very precious few people जिन्होंने उनको सहारा दिया, उनकी मदद की, who were around, who were loyal. Anyway, Lahore has become a city of crime, abduction, and murder. We are literally afraid now to go out at night. A few nights ago, I was awakened by cries of thief, thief, thief. There was a robbery a few houses away. One cannot even trust the police nowadays. The streets are full of gundas. One cannot walk alone in safety and dignity anymore. The outcome of unemployment and war talk. Any Tom, Dick, or Harry can get a gun license by bribing the right person. What will happen when the tension is over with all these guns in Lahore, one hardly knows. It is no longer the Lahore you knew. The CID boys visit 41 Empress Road regularly. They are so easily known. The only people in Pakistan who can sit for hours and hours at a stretch picking their noses and scratching. Sounds a little familiar. Okay. So if I go on, this is later on in the year. This is from December. और ये एक्चुअली दो मुख्तलिफ ख़त हैं उनके, उनमें से आपको मैं एक्सर्प्ट सुना रही हूँ. This part I've always really enjoyed reading. So this is the 12th of December, 1951. I'm guilty of delaying my letter for a few days, but I was most terribly tired after the long journey to and from Hyderabad. That's where he was in jail. And so much work had accumulated. But in a manner of speaking, I had a pleasant journey on the way back. Maulana Maududi's wife travelled along with me, and we compared notes about husbands who get themselves into jail. She tried to reform me, of course, and I her. We were both disappointed. We have talked solidly of you ever since I came home, both in the house and in the office. I hope I have not exaggerated too much about your good health and even better spirits. अगला जो ये ख़त है, this is from, only 3 days later. So इसमें भी कुछ लोगों का जिक्र है. अली अतर साहब, I believe, was a journalist. आगे ताहिरा मजहर और मज़हर अली ख़ान साहब, उनका जिक्र है. They were dear friends, well known to many people, I'm quite sure. So I'll read out this part. You know, there is always one quality I have prided myself on, in a way of virtue which you will never be able to rival. I talk of efficiency. This is so true. But now, you were certainly efficient about Chimi's birthday. Chimi is my mother, Salima. The lovely gift arrived the evening before. So did the telegram. What a surprise for us all. On the birthday morning, in spite of everything, I found her crying in the bathroom. Poor Mizu, looking on, near enough to tears too. She said she missed you so much. How we all do. Please do thank Ali Athar for his special part in the birthday conspiracy. We had a party and the birthday cake. Mizu kept stamping her foot and asking why Chimi has 9 birthdays and she only 5. Tahira and Mazhar are back now, and she says she is damned annoyed because every time she met a new face in Prague, London, or Moscow or Vienna, The face asked first after Faiz Ahmed Faiz and then took an interest in her. She says she must have drunk your health 10,000 times in everything except water. The Soviet writers who came to Pakistan in 1949 all asked after you and were particularly anxious to know how your family was faring. I suppose they realize how easy it is to starve in Pakistan. As we move on to the next year, in fact, almost a year to when he first was arrested. Just 1 second, please. Sorry. I'm doing this with one hand. Yes, so it's the first anniversary of when he went away. This letter is from a little bit earlier. Believe it or not, there is a rainstorm going on, and no safety act or conspiracy act can spoil the beauty of things like this. The smell of rain and the sound of whispering trees and thoughts are still free and your own. And even prison walls crumble and fall. Mizu says she has again forgotten what you look like, but she says she can still remember your voice, and then says, it goes like this, Beti wahan mat ja. Chimi and I laughed in a rather superior manner, as we were meant to. We haven't forgotten what your face looks like. A year has now passed today, and we are still alive to look back and to look forward to better ones. The morning passed fighting against gloom and memories. I really liked, I loved the whole book, but what I really enjoyed about this letter is how Mama talks about feeling poetic herself. And of course, there is a mention of Sufi Sahab, that's Sufi Tabassum, who was, again, such a dear friend of the families and who, again, supported them, but also just was around and especially was attentive towards my khala and my mother. एक कहानी अम्मी बताती हैं, पता नहीं वो चाहेंगे कि मैं बताऊं कि ना बताऊं, कि सूफ़ी साहब जब आते थे तो वो बच्चियों को यूं चूंटी काट के कहते थे, इस घर में मच्छर बड़े हैं, and then the girls would also then pinch him back and say, इस घर में मच्छर बड़े हैं. I'll go read on to get on to the letter. So this is from May 1952. I have been through a poetic cycle, such as you sometimes indulge in, a fit of the blues. I have come through at last, with what seems to be a superhuman effort. What happens I do not know, but my world suddenly goes awry, and the whole thing becomes too much. I suppose basically physically too much for one person. But there are others doing much more somewhere. My life is like a patchwork quilt, each moment fitted carefully to the next, with not an atom of space between. And the urge to let the quilt slip sometimes overwhelms me. And the fight with the urge knocks me out. If only I could go and laze in the gardens, think, write a poem now, too. I know the need of some time to call my own. Just to watch the world go by, not worrying, not counting minutes, which would fly by in idle gossip or solitary musings, missing your presence. Will the long summer days never end? Sufi today finally had his appendix out. He sent for me, as he does so often. Sometimes it depends so much on me. There are so few left around of the old school. I have managed to get your pajamas to Karachi, and I hope they will get to you, plus Amina's edition. That's Begum Amna Majid Malik. She had sent the girl some cloth pieces, which was very sweet of her. There is a strong rumor afloat that you and Akbar Khan were called by the tribunal and consulted as to what should be done about the case. Does this mean the government doesn't know itself? What things people conjecture. I think this is a letter which mentions Ifti, who was Mia Iftikharuddin, who was the proprietor of the Pakistan Times, where my grandfather had worked after partition. And this is on Eid Day, so it's the Eid letter. I hope you had my Eid telegram, that your Eid was tolerable. People came for lunch and for tea, and no one for dinner, which has given me time to write. Memories surge and the heart aches. Many friends turned up, and your daughters earned about ₹65 each. Did Ifti turn up to see you today? I'm wondering if there has been any development regarding the final phase of the trial and your legal defense. Please let me know. I am again rather perturbed for you. All my waking hours I am with you. And the thought of your being put to trouble for a mere ₹2,000 hurts me awfully. There are many things to write and to say, but being no poet, they go almost unsaid. I'm a bloody realist and can find no poetry in this brutal situation. I hear that the court has been closed for a long period. Oh, what time to waste, to be sure, when lonely wives and children sit waiting. But I presume so many people are enjoying the situation materially, at government expense. Do taxpayers foot the bills? Anyway, we can do nothing but grind our teeth in impotent rage and wish happy returns to them all. Grind our teeth in impotent rage. I think that's a familiar feeling. I hope I'm still online because there's a flying heart, so I'm guessing I am. Because now I said, as I said, I'm getting superstitious, so just in case. Right. So this is sort of a similar time, very soon after the Eid letter. So it goes on, life around us. But I'm hardly a true part of it. Time stood still when you went away. I'm waiting for it to move once again. I shall probably get a raise next month and celebrate it with you when I come to see you. Maybe have some of the wonderful ice cream again. I worked very hard last week for the Eid supplement. Cycled miles and miles contacting people, watching savaiya being made in a temperature of 116 Fahrenheit. Cycling to Choburji, can you imagine? Cycling to Choburji, to visit refugees and so on. But it is good to see the result of one's labors and to hear someone give even the vaguest atom of praise. Suddenly all seems worthwhile. You, of course, were always so grudging, and yet you mattered most of all. Had you but known. Yesterday, Tahira said, "Alice, does sex worry you?" "Well," said I, "sex doesn't worry me, but its absence does, Tahira." So I love that. And that was really their relationship. It was a beautiful friendship. And like I said, जुत्ते भी लगाते थे सब एक दूसरे को. This I love because it's a beautiful letter. And again, it's that thing of the romance of letter writing, which it's a lost art. And even perhaps when we do, I don't know if anybody is going to keep those around very long because they're not letters like this. Anyway, let me stop praising and let me read. This is dated 16th of September 1952. I'm indulging in the luxury of writing another letter today because I've just received your first. There is something exquisite about the first letter which I receive when I return home, like a first love letter. Each word, each phrase, I go over and over again because one is always still warm after the meeting. Yes, I too have thought of many things I might have said, with an eye on the time, another on the jailer, and an aching heart in one's breast. It is hard to say all the things one meant to. This is a luxury letter, so let it be so, and indulge in just memories, phrases, words, and sighs. A luxury of longing and aching. Oh, the plans your pigeons make for when you come home, the places they will go and see, how many times they will share your bed. Tomorrow I shall see your mother. She will be happy to know that I've had a letter. When I hear of your talking of longing to work, I shudder. Here I am, longing to rest, to escape from all work, to relax, to rest, no worry, just the sweet knowledge that you are here, forever. You do remember how much you used to long for a rest, so you got it. I hope mine won't come that way. All is well here. Your hearth is warm, and the lamp burns in the window. So yeah, I mean, just it's the beauty of the words, and I think the genuineness of the emotion that is so heartfelt. My phone is reminding me that I have to keep the charger on. Sorry. Okay. So we're getting towards the end of 1952 now. So it's very soon going to be 2 years. This next letter, or just the part of it, this is what I think I mentioned earlier as well, about Mama's own parents, who were both living at that time, but getting on in years and not well. And so I just wanted to give you a glimpse into, I think, what that must have been like to be on your own, firstly in this situation, and to be so far away from your old parents who are getting older every day. This is towards the end of 1952. Although not really in the mood for a letter, I shall write. It is the lovely weather. For lovers and for children. A cable from London and a letter. It would seem that father's mind has been impaired. Mother says his mind is not right. I'm worried that perhaps the tragedy of Tasir and your imprisonment may have preyed too much on his mind. He has always been very sensitive, with a strong tendency to brood and worry. I have seen by his letters and his constant reference to prayers for us, not like the jovial father I remember so well, an aching heart, like your poor mother's. I remember you once said that whatever one may not achieve in life, one can always have the comforting thought that one has not added to human misery. That line always makes me think as well. That you may not have achieved anything else much in life, but at least you didn't make people miserable. Something to think about. This letter is now going into January 1953. And there's a little note here which says post decision. So अब तक जो ट्रायल थी वो चल रही थी, and this was when finally the decision comes. And what was the decision? Faiz was sentenced to 4 years in further prison detention. इसमें भी कुछ लोगों का जिक्र है जो कि मैं आपको बता देना चाहती हूँ कि what those references are. एक तो जंजुआ साहब का है, that was Air Commodore Janjua, who was jailed along with my grandfather. And एक हनीफ साहब का जिक्र है. हनीफ साहब मेरे नाना के बहुत अजीज़ दोस्त थे और उन्होंने भी मामा का और मेरी अम्मी अभी खाला का बहुत ख्याल किया इन 4 सालों में. मैंने अम्मी से जब पूछा इनके बारे में तो उन्होंने मुझे बताया कि हनीफ साहब जो थे पार्टीशन से पहले मतलब काफ़ी वो रंगीन मिजाज शख्स थे, बट पार्टीशन के इवेंट्स के बाद ही वॉज अ चेंज्ड मैन. वन ऑफ द मैनी रायट्स जो कि अंदरून शहर में हुई थी वो वहाँ पर रहते थे, एंड द सिख फैमिलीज़ ऑफ दैट एरिया वर बीइंग टारगेटेड. ज़ाहिर है सबको पता था. तो हनीफ साहब की जो फैमिली थी और हनीफ साहब ख़ुद, उन्होंने आसपास की जो सिख फैमिलीज़ थी उनकी ख़वातीन को अपने घर में पनाह दी थी. They could not save the men folk. That was one of the strange sort of horrors and tragedies of that time, but they were able to save some of the women. और जब events के बाद, then they were able to send them to whoever their surviving families were. But as she said, after partition he was a changed man. He was no longer that happy-go-lucky dandy. I'll read out the letter now. I'm waiting most anxiously to hear from you, counting the days to your release. People, letters, telegrams are pouring in, sympathizing and expressing shocked surprise at the gross severity of the sentences. The Commonwealth Press Association sent a detailed cable asking about what your 4 years really means. Will you appeal, etc.? We have replied. The Pakistan Times of 7th of January 1953 contained a good editorial. I hope you have seen it. Is it true that Daste Sabah has been confiscated? Daste Sabah, for any of you who are not aware, मेरे नाना ने जो prison में poetry की थी उसकी collection, that is Daste Sabah, and it was published at this time. और वो भी एक अलग कहानी है which I won't go into right now, but it's worth reading about. Is it true that Daste Sabah has been confiscated? Sorry, I lost my place. I have written today to your superintendent and registrar asking for details since now you are probably under the jail authorities. Shall I send you some money at once? What do you need? Amina comes in every night. We laugh, chat, look back, and time passes. We sit in our room with your photo smiling down upon us. And my heart sings for you and for all you stand for me and for us all. Salima has a lovely cat which she dotes on and he on her. Hanif says that after a few weeks, either the cat will become a Chini or Chini will become a cat. Mizu abuses the judges roundly and then asks, "How long is 4 years, Ammi?" Poor thing. The long months of suspense are over, and now the path lies clear ahead. The truth will slowly emerge. No book has ever sold like Daste Sabah, and I'm sure the president thought fit to confiscate the copies. Please tell Janjua that my offer to his wife for shelter stands. We shall pull through somehow. but she should not lose heart. All your friends, there are so many, send their love. My only wish now is to carry on with all the strength I can muster, to keep our flag flying, and in some way to make the best of the coming years. We have so much, really, darling. Most of all, a clear conscience, and those singing tomorrows this side of the horizon. Did you get my telegram? I sent it just after the telex picked off the news. Your mother bears up. She is made of good Punjabi stuff. Above all, write, 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 the coming generations demand it. Have just witnessed the greatest demo ever. Lahore students against the Karachi firing. Hundreds of girls too. PPS. Mizu has chickenpox. So like I said, some things never change. We all bear up. Mothers bear up. Made of good Punjabi stuff or non-Punjabi stuff. And demonstrations and students, hundreds of girls too, and chickenpox. This next entry, and stop me when I've done enough, please. This one part of this, I have to say, surprised me a little bit, and I'll tell you when I get to it. Yes. The bookbinder of Daste Sabah says he has never seen the like of the sale of a book, couldn't keep up with it. He has been binding for 25 years. I don't agree with you that earning a living for one's children is a man's job. It is anyone's job, he who can do it and is willing to, and in a husband and wife setup, the one who does it better. So this was the part that surprised me, when she says, I don't agree with you that earning a living for one's children is a man's job. It doesn't, I wouldn't think that my grandfather thought that way, but when I read this and I was surprised, I think what hit me was that it wasn't in a sexist sense. He would never say to us, no, you will sit at home and not work or anything like that. But I think we often forget, I certainly do, that he came from a very small village, in a sort of a backwater of Sialkot, from a very traditional family. And there are certain things that are ingrained, and of course you let go of them and you evolve, and he did, of course. But again, I was still surprised to read this, but I still found it very sweet. And of course, my grandmother would never have put up with any such notion. So there is also that. I'll read on. There is an endless fear that on my shoulders rests everything. Otherwise, I have so much stamina and an unending flow of energy and determination. It is the loneliness which turns one's hair grey and lines one's face. But your part is clear. You have to fill the coming days with writing, so that when you return, then I can lie back and live with you. I too feel strangely rested after the past 2 years of vicious pain and waiting. One knew that with the given setup, freedom would not be easily won. Reading that monstrous tribunal act again, it seems easier to plead guilty than try to prove your innocence. Every possible means of defending oneself or establishing one's innocence has been maliciously barred. Again, the familiar. So we're getting towards the end of the incarceration, and therefore also the end of the letters. So what I wanted to do was actually read you the last letter in the correspondence, which is from the 18th of March, 1955. So, full 4 years to the day almost in fact, a little more. I am awaiting a letter which I hope will come soon. That is, if no one has come for an interview. The Pakistan Times has given me a positive assignment, so I shall see you on the 26th, about noon or so, and Chris follows later. Rauf has so far given rupees 50 of his monthly rupees 100. It has gone in a few shirts and things for the girls. Next month, that is the next year at school, will come new textbooks and dozens of copies. Other expenses are formidable. A new fan, new chicks, khidkiyon wali, perhaps a change of house. So you see, I cannot make any promises, much as I know, dearest, how much they want to see you and how much you long to see them. It also means staying a night because I cannot drag them there and back in a day. So we shall have to say, be still, my heart. Gurmani Sahab has asked me to have tea with him on Monday. The weather has become kind again and the nights are nice and cool. During the Easter holidays, the girls plan to paint and arrange a puppet show. Chimi asked very diffidently for a magnifying glass for her stamp collection. She is always so very apologetic when she asks for anything. Mizu's demands are small. She is satisfied with sweets or a rupee or two for the odd desire. Nowadays the Lawrence gardens are lovely, and your favorite palm trees as straight and tall as ever. I was there today for a short while. I have to write something, and it was a good chance to renew an old relationship and to walk your path again. The rest is love and waiting and the future and its dreams. Today someone said, "Oh, you are a nightingale." I said, "You mean Bulbul?" "Oh no, I mean Florence," came the answer. I have been called many things, but really. That's where the letter ends. That's where the letters end. But I'd like to end on reading you the epilogue, which are Mama's words as well. The correspondence comes to an abrupt stop at the end of March 1955. The prisoners did not serve their full sentences. In 1955, a constitutional crisis arose. Wouldn't be the last, I guess. The validity of the Rawalpindi Conspiracy Special Tribunal Act 1951 became doubtful after the judgment of the federal court in the Maulvi Tamizuddin case. A bail application was filed in the Lahore High Court by our lawyers, along with a habeas corpus petition, and Justice Shabir Ahmed granted bail to Faiz Ahmed Faiz and 7 others on the 24th of March 1955. Realizing that Faiz would at long last be freed, I borrowed a car and drove swiftly to Montgomery. However, when I arrived at the jail premises, I found that the jail had closed for the night and admission was refused to me. I spent the night in a small cafe-cum-hotel on the outskirts of the city. The owner was most kind and made me and the driver extremely comfortable. The next morning, I was again refused admission to the jail premises. I managed at last to meet the superintendent. I was then told that the government had ordered the rearrest of Faiz, Major Ishaq, and Khizr Hayat, all 3 in Montgomery jail, within the jail premises, a trick played by the British before 1947 with political prisoners, under the Restriction and Detention Ordinance 1944. For permission to meet Faiz, I was told that I would have to make an application to the Home Secretary. I came back to Lahore in an empty car. Our lawyers again applied for bail under the Restriction and Detention Ordinance 1944, and the High Court ordered the prisoner's release on bail from the Ordinance of 1944. Hesitant to take yet another abortive journey, I was produced before Justice Gyani. My lawyer, Mr. Ijaz Batalvi, accompanied me. The following conversation ensued. Ijaz: Sir, Mrs. Faiz had a somewhat unpleasant experience last time when she went to bring her husband from prison. Can she be assured by you that this time all will be well? Justice Gyani, bringing his fingertips together and smiling gently. Mrs. Faiz, I can assure you that nothing short of a coup d'etat can now thwart the orders of this court. Perhaps you would like me to send a peon of this court with you. So I set forth again, Abdullah Malik, Ijaz, and myself. The front seat was empty for Faiz. They remained on bail for 3 months until a full bench of the High Court found the Rawalpindi Conspiracy Act invalid. Thus ended one of the most extraordinary of secret trials. All prisoners had been tried and imprisoned under an act which legally did not exist. Alys Faiz, Lahore, dated the 1st of September 1985. That's where the book ends. Please do buy the book once you are able to. So that was my part of the deal. Okay, so please read some more, but I've done all my selection. I can share a few other things with you, just some thoughts. एक तो मैं आपको दिखाना चाह रही थी, ये मेरे ड्राइंग रूम से मुझे हटना पड़ा. I have this picture up in my drawing room, and this is, I think, my absolute, I hope I can show it to you properly in this light. This is my absolute favorite picture of my grandparents. This was taken in our house not long before Nana passed away. And look at their hands. I love the laughter. They've obviously shared a beautiful joke, possibly something quite risque. And I just love the joy in their faces. It's just so uncontrolled. It's so beautiful. ये जो किताब है, इसमें कुछ तस्वीरें भी हैं, वो दिखाना पता नहीं अब इस पे किस तरह से कैसा नज़र आ रहा है. So they're just some very sweet pictures, especially of my mother and my khala. There's a wonderful picture of Nana with Izu Khala when she's quite a tiny little thing. I think she's like about 4 years old. और उन्होंने गोद में उठाया हुआ है मेरी खाला को, बिल्कुल छोटी सी वो हैं. I can even hold it up and maybe you guys can see. There it is. And मतलब I'm reminded of, जो आजकल हम अपने इस 21st century point of view से when we try and look back at history. So he's got his little daughter in his lap and he's smoking away. You can even see the smoke in the picture. और ज़माना था भाई, नहीं पता था ये चीज़ें. So whenever I see that picture, I just laugh. एक तरफ हम हैं, when I was a paranoid mother, no, don't smoke around my kids, and but the more you know. So it's just, there's this funny things like that. In the part that I read out to you where Mama bata rahi hai ki, my mother used to feel so guilty asking for anything as a present or whatever. और मेरी खाला जो थी वो छोटी सी स्वीट शीट्स लेके खुश हो जाती थी. So I'm reminded of my own kids. कुछ साल, एक तो वो बहुत लाडले हैं because they were the first grandchildren on both sides. You can see some of the stuff. And now my mother is such a doting grandmother, as Mama was to me. And I think शायद introduction में मैं आज आपको बताया कि नहीं बताया that I spent a lot of time with Mama. नाना के साथ मुझे वक्त उस तरह से गुजारने का इतना मौका नहीं मिला. I was only 10 when he passed away. और जब वो हयात भी थे तब भी वो अक्सर एक तो सफ़र करते रहते थे, अंग्रेज़ी वाला भी और उर्दू वाला भी. He was away a lot. And then जब जनरल ज़िया का दौर शुरू हुआ तो वो बेरूत चले गए थे, लेबनान. I think there was every possibility that he would also eventually be put in jail, or at least there would be censorship, there would be surveillance, there would be some persecution. So my grandparents went and lived in Lebanon for a few years. And I visited them along with my brother and my mother. So that is, one of the great regrets of my life, that I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him. There are memories, but they're more sensations of his voice. जैसे कि I think मेरी खाला ने भी अपने is mentioned in the letters. I can still hear his voice, because he had a very distinctive voice, especially later on in life because of certain health problems and being a lifelong smoker and all of these things. His smell, he used to always wear a very nice cologne. And the time that I spent with him in Beirut. Now, Mama के साथ मेरा बहुत वक्त गुजरा. She passed away in 2003 in March. And I spent a lot of time in my childhood, but later on as well. और हमारी बहुत अच्छी दोस्ती थी. It wasn't just, नानी और नवासी का वो वाला पुराना rishta. We were really, really good friends, and we enjoyed spending time together. I enjoyed spending time with her very much. और जो शुरू में मैंने थोड़ा सा एक कहा था ना कि that whole thing of moving to a different country and a different culture and everything, language, और वो भी उस ज़माने में. आज की तरह नहीं है. आज कहीं उठ के दूसरे मुल्क में चले जाना है, it's, I may be wrong, but I don't think it's such that big a deal. There is a phone, there is this stuff, there is everything that you can be from one place to the other within a few hours. 40s की लेकिन हम बात कर रहे हैं. उस वक्त दुनिया बहुत वसी थी, और उस तरह से सब कुछ छोड़ के आना. And not just your family or your culture or anything, but just everything that is part of your existence and you are a part of. So the reason why I bring that up is because I said when I spent a lot of time with her, बहुत सारा उनके वजूद का, उस वजूद का हिस्सा था that she guarded very, very fiercely all her life. She never let go of her Englishness. सब कुछ नहीं, मतलब local उन्होंने पहना, उन्होंने बोला, उन्होंने खाया, सब कुछ किया, but they were still a part of that original Alice George that she held on to. And I can give you a few examples. So मैं उनके साथ जब वक्त गुजारती थी तो 80s की अगेन मैं बात कर रही हूँ. उनके पास एक बहुत हाईटेक रेडियो था. मेरा ख्याल है कि शायद रज़ा काज़िम साहब ने उनको मंगवा के दिया था. आई एम नॉट सर्टन. और उस रेडियो के ऊपर उनको BBC की ब्रॉडकास्ट मिलती थी, इंग्लैंड की, जो ज़माने में आम रेडियो शेडियो पे नहीं होता था. एंड उनके साथ जब मैं आई वुड गो एंड स्पेंड द नाइट और एनीथिंग, सो वो रेडियो पे हम BBC न्यूज़ सुनते थे, हम म्यूज़िक प्रोग्राम सुनते थे, हम एंटरटेनमेंट प्रोग्राम सुनते थे. देन व्हेनेवर समबडी वाज गोइंग अब्रॉड, चाहे वो खुद जा रही होती थी कोई और, उनके लिए VHS टेप्स आती थी BBC के प्रोग्राम्स की, स्टेप्टो एंड सन एंड ऑल सॉर्ट्स ऑफ थिंग्स, ओपेरा, बैले, म्यूज़िकल कॉन्सर्ट्स. वो खुद मेरे लिए ख़ास एक VHS टेप लाई थी ऑफ बेट्रिक्स पॉटर्स stories done as a ballet with dancers dressed in those costumes. And so, as I was saying, there were aspects of her life as an English woman that she really held on to with a lot of love. She never let go of those things. And I can really, really appreciate that. Or unhone, she kind of instilled that in me, my love for reading. She used to bring me books that she had read as a child, like A.A. Milne and, Winnie the Pooh wali books jo thi, or many, many others. So she didn't keep that part of her life separated in that sense. She wanted us to know that part of her as well. But yes, as I said in the beginning, ये वाला जो हिस्सा था उनकी ज़िंदगी का, जिससे मैंने आज आपको ख़त सुनाए हैं, I don't think she ever talked about it with me. I don't know if it ever occurred to me to ask, but again, that's why the book is there, and that's why I really love the book. And जैसा कि मैंने आपको पहले भी दिखाया था, ये जो इसमें इतनी सारी चेपियाँ लगी हुई हैं, क्योंकि बार बार I'm drawn to this book, and I think many others are too. And I hope that whoever was listening today, despite all of the issues, the sabotage that my phone tried and my laptop tried, and then my mother's laptop tried, and the Wi-Fi tried, despite all of that, I hope you were able to get a sense of who she was, what kind of person she was, what she felt, how she wrote, and the relationship that they shared, which was, of course, one of love, but I think it goes even beyond that. Though I wouldn't know how to define it. I wouldn't want to define it either. I will just say one, just a couple of last words. Somebody had said, मैंने हालांकि बताया था, I'll just repeat, कि मेरे नाना के लिखे हुए जो खुतूत थे वो भी शाया हुए थे. अब तो 2 दफ़ा हो चुके हैं. एक 70s में उर्दू में ट्रांसलेशन में सलीबे मेरे दरीचे में के नाम से वो ख़त शाया हुए थे, और हाल ही में the ones in English were republished in as Two Loves, and उसमें और भी बहुत मज़े की चीज़ें हैं. So I've kept you guys long enough, I think, and my arm is about to fall off also, because I am holding the phone in my hand and I was doing everything else with this one. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's session. I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful to Salt Arts for getting me to do this. I think I forget sometimes the precious value of these letters. So thank you for reminding me. Again, thank you everyone for being around, for hanging on despite all the issues. And see you around. Be safe, please. And be smart about being safe. And good health to you all. Good night.